Welcome to Inside Track. I'm your host, Mike Kraft. This month, we feature the newest addition to the Chevy car lineup, Corvette Hardtop. The Hardtop model completes the three-phase launch of the latest generation of Corvette. You might recall the all-new Corvette Coupe kicked off the launch in January of '97 and was followed later that year by the convertible. They were named the Motor Trend Car of the Year. And finally, for '99, the Hardtop completes the launch. This is the first fixed-roof Vette that Chevrolet has offered since 1967, back in the days of the Stingray. So what's the difference between the Coupe and the Hardtop? There are many distinctions between the two. The most notable is a fixed roof on the Hardtop, while the Coupe has a removable roof panel. That difference gives the Hardtop a slightly different profile, with a more angular back window that's reminiscent of the styling of the Vettes from the late 60s and early 70s. But the Hardtop still bears a strong family resemblance to the Coupe and convertible. With the Hardtop, Chevy has addressed the needs of a customer base that asked for a simpler sports car without sacrificing high performance. And for enthusiasts who still desire the latest and greatest with all the bells and whistles, Chevy offers the Coupe or convertible. To ensure the performance aspect wasn't lost in the Hardtop, it was stocked with this standard equipment: the Z51 suspension, which is a very aggressive handling package. It offers stiffer springs, larger stabilizer bars, and larger monotube shock absorbers than the standard suspension components of Coupe and convertible. True to the performance nature of the Hardtop, it's equipped with a standard 6-speed manual transmission. Automatic transmission isn't available on Hardtop. And to complement the handling package, the Hardtop also offers a standard limited slip rear axle with a 3:42 ratio. The 6-speed transmission is equipped with a skip shift feature, allowing drivers to go from first to fourth gear at a lower RPM, which helps maximize fuel efficiency. Be sure to point that feature out to customers during a demo drive when you get the opportunity. Under the hood, what else would you expect? The 5.7-liter LS1 engine, which can unleash 345 horsepower. We'll have more on Corvette Hardtop in just a few minutes. But first, let's take a look at a few of the new for '99 features that are available on Corvette. It's known for being on the leading edge of automotive engineering and technology, and this year is no exception. Mid-model year in '98, Corvette came to market with the optional active handling system, one of the most advanced stability control systems of its kind. If you haven't seen it or want to refresh your memory, the June issue of Inside Track features a detailed interview with one of the engineers. Now, how about for '99? Corvette offers an optional Twilight Sentinel package, which delays the shutoff of all exterior lamps after the ignition is turned off. The benefit is that it provides ample exterior lighting in low light conditions to allow vehicle occupants to see the walkway around them as they exit the vehicle. A nice convenience and safety feature. Automatic exterior lamp control is also included with Twilight Sentinel. It turns on all exterior lamps when it detects low light conditions. Also optional is the power telescoping steering column, which allows Corvette drivers to more precisely tailor the steering position for their comfort. When used with the standard manual tilt feature, the driver can move the wheel to the most optimum driving position. And that position can be stored in the optional memory package, along with the position settings for the outside mirrors, radio presets, the HVAC system, and driver power seat settings. It's important to note, however, that Twilight Sentinel and the telescoping steering column are not available on Corvette Hardtop. For another of Corvette's impressive new for '99 features, the head-up display, let's go to Carolyn Clifford.
If you haven't experienced the head-up display feature yet, I'd encourage you to do so. It is really amazing. It projects instrumentation readouts right onto the windshield, so you don't need to take your eye off the road to check key information like the speedometer, tachometer, or the fuel level. And since I really can't explain to you how it works, I went straight to someone who can, and that's Steve Stringfellow. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Carolyn.
First of all, tell me, how do these readouts project right onto the windshield?
Well, we use a system of optics developed from aircraft technology that magnifies and projects the image off the inside of the glass. One of the magical things about the system is that the image appears to be out at the bumper of the car.
Great. What about clarity? Does it keep the sharpness of the read even if it's day or night or if it's overcast outside?
Sure. Since the image is reflected off the inside of the windshield, the image is completely unobscured by any rain, snow, mud, or sleet which might land on the outside of the glass.
Now, what about the angle of view? I know I'm 5'4", my husband's around 6'1". Can we both still read the display?
Sure. There's a set of switches here on the left-hand side of the instrument cluster that are made just for the head-up display itself. The lower button is your display switch. That allows the image to be moved up and down to accommodate different size drivers.
Now, what are some of the instrument features included in the display?
There are 5 different available formats: the speed only, speed engage, speed gauge and tack, speed and tack only. Those can be adjusted by pressing and holding on the page button. When you have a gauge showing, tapping on the page button will scroll between oil pressure, water temp, and fuel gauge.
Now, I imagine when most people are driving, the only thing they want to see in front of them is the speed. Can I just project that on this display unit?
Yes.
Now, what about if I'm driving and I start, say, losing air in one of my tires and I'm looking at the instrument panel? Will I still be able to see that signal on the display unit if I'm losing air in a tire?
Sure. In the left-hand corner of the display unit, the actual image, you'll see a check gauges warning that'll come up on the head-up display. So that'll be the first image that you'll actually see before you actually see the low tire pressure occur on your driver information center.
Great. Now, which models will this new feature be available in?
Currently, it's only available on the coupe and convertible models.
Great. Thank you so much, Steve. It's really been informative.
You're very welcome.
Impressive engineering has always been a hallmark of Corvette, and with a new feature like head-up display, this year is no exception. With a typical Corvette customer and the features Corvette offers, it's important to conduct a thorough and knowledgeable product demonstration.
$100,000. That's the median income of the average Corvette buyer, and they can be very exacting in their expectations, and Corvette can deliver it. But you have to do the same. And with the advanced features like active handling and head-up display becoming available every year, you've got to be able to detail the benefits. Come on, active handling and head-up display? That's the stuff I used to see on the Jetsons, and now they're available on cars. You must understand, Vette owners and enthusiasts are informed people. They know the Vette, and they insist on working with a salesperson who knows just as much about the Corvette as they do. They have the power to buy anything they want, and more importantly, from whomever they want. Do everything you can to stay up to speed on features like head-up display. When I was selling, I used to get my hands on as much information as I could. The training materials, press reviews. I'd even keep a copy of the interview you just saw to show a customer if necessary. It's called an evidence manual. You keep things in your evidence manual that substantiate and back up the claims that make Corvette so popular. The evidence manual is like having another salesperson in your back pocket helping you to sell value. Incidentally, do you subscribe to Car and Driver magazine or Road and Track? Corvette buyers do. You can bet on it. They're building their own evidence manuals. You need to be reading what today's Corvette buyer is reading. Selling is a full-time job that requires continuous learning. Your education doesn't stop just because you're on the showroom floor.
Before moving on to our comparison, I want to take a moment to talk about the oil change interval on Corvette. The LS1 V8 engine is an engineering masterpiece. We could probably spend a whole show talking about its highlights and its accolades, like being named one of the 10 best engines in 1998 by Ward's Auto World. But a little-known fact of the LS1 and the Corvette is that it has an extended oil change interval. Do you know what the suggested change interval is? Is it 6,000 miles, 8,000, 9,000, or 10,000 miles? The correct answer is 10,000. Corvette owners can drive up to 10,000 miles before a recommended servicing for an oil change. That's customer friendly and environmentally friendly too. Now let's get to our comparison and see how the hardtop does against competitive vehicles in the sports car segment.
The Corvette hardtop, with a base MSRP of $38,777, is the lowest priced of the Corvettes. But don't let the lower MSRP fool you. This Vette is the purest performer in the family. Before we get on with the comparison, let's quickly review the componentry of this car. With a lower curb weight and a stiffer structure than the coupe, the hardtop provides a solid and responsive ride, one that performance enthusiasts thirst for. Of course, powering the performance is the LS1 V8 engine with aluminum block and heads, which contributes to weight reduction. Working with the engine is the 6-speed manual transmission Mike spoke of earlier. Like its siblings, the hardtop also features a limited slip differential, speed-sensitive rack and pinion steering, and power 4-wheel ventilated disc brakes with standard ABS. Now, how about where the hardtop differs from the coupe and convertible? Perhaps the most important difference is the hardtop comes standard with the Z51 handling package that Mike detailed earlier. Its components were born and tested in a racing environment. So the hardtop is intended for drivers who are looking for the ultimate in handling. Now let's get to our comparison. We decided to take a look at how the hardtop competes against the BMW M Coupe, and we'll also point out where it has advantages over the Porsche 911. The first advantage the hardtop has is price. With the base MSRP of $38,777, it lists for almost $3,600 less than the BMW M Coupe at $42,370. On the high end, Porsche 911 Carrera carries the hefty base MSRP of $65,795. Now that we've established price, let's talk performance. Just how much power is there under the hoods of these cars? As we've mentioned, the Corvette LS1 V8 packs 345 peak horsepower at 5,600 RPM and 350 foot-pounds of torque at 4,400 RPM. BMW M's 3.2-liter inline-six offers 240 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 236 foot-pounds of torque at 3,800 RPM. The Chevy V8 has 44% more peak horsepower than what the BMW can muster and 48% more torque. And the Porsche 911 with a 3.4-liter engine only offers 296 horses and 258 foot-pounds of torque. It's easy to see Corvette has quite a power advantage. The smaller, less powerful six-cylinder engines just can't match Corvette's larger V8 displacement, horsepower, and torque. Now, how about the other half of the powertrain combination, transmissions? Both the Corvette hardtop and the Porsche are equipped with a 6-speed manual transmission, while the BMW is equipped with only a 5-speed manual. Say what you want about European engineering, but here's a fact that's pretty interesting. We just demonstrated that the LS1 engine churns out decidedly more horsepower and torque than the competitive models we are comparing. Yet Corvette is competitive when it comes to EPA fuel ratings. In fact, it bests the 911 and is comparable to the M Coupe. The hardtop gets an estimated 18 miles per gallon in city driving and 27 highway. While BMW M fuel ratings are comparable to Corvette, the BMW does so with an engine substantially smaller in displacement with inferior peak performance numbers. And the 911 is only rated at 17 city and 25 highway. So the LS1 not only performs with power, it still shows off pretty impressive fuel ratings. No wonder it's one of the 10 best engines in the world. One last thing, with a fuel tank capacity of 19.1 gallons, Corvette has 5.5 gallons more than BMW's 13.5 capacity. The 911 doesn't measure up either. Its fuel capacity is only 17.2. Translation, based on EPA fuel efficiency ratings for highway cruising, Corvette has a greater cruising range. Now, how does Corvette compare to the competition when it comes to on-road responsiveness? Most customers interested in the hardtop will be curious about its handling attributes, and they won't be disappointed in what they find. With its Z51 suspension package, Corvette hardtop delivers a stiffer, more racing-inspired ride than the standard suspension in the coupe or convertible. While the hardtop, the BMW, and the 911 all feature fully independent suspensions, the Corvette hardtop is designed more for pure sports car enthusiasts and for racing. The Z51 suspension is something that should be experienced in a test drive, because it's certainly a different ride than the coupe or convertible. And the test drive might be a good time to point out a few other competitive advantages, like the extended mobility tires or run flats, a feature customers can't get on the Z3 or the 911 for that matter. You can drive up to 200 miles at 55 miles per hour on completely deflated tires. And the tire pressure monitoring system not only provides a PSI readout, it signals the driver when a tire is over or under inflated. The owner's manual provides very detailed information about the specifics of VMTs, so be sure to point out to customers where they can find the information. Another advantage Corvette has over both Z3 and 911 that arguably contributes to handling is its wider track. Corvette has a 62-inch track in front and 62.1-inch rear track. By comparison, Z3 measures 56 in front and 58.7 in the rear, and 911 57.3 and 59.1 respectively. Finally, you can point out the interior dimension advantages that Corvette has. While customers expect a cockpit-type feel from a sports car, it doesn't mean they have to be uncomfortable. As you can see from these numbers, Corvette does have some advantages, but overall they are minimal. However, one significant advantage is in shoulder room. Corvette provides nearly 4 more inches of shoulder room than Z3 or 911, and that is a noticeable difference. While we're talking about dimensions, let's talk cargo capacity. Ample cargo space isn't exactly a top purchase motivator for sports cars, but customers may be surprised to learn that Corvette has a generous cargo area. In fact, it has 4 more cubic feet than the BMW and almost 3 times the cargo capacity of the 911. That's going to do it for the comparison. Here's a quick recap. The hardtop has a lower MSRP and substantially more peak horsepower and torque than the BMW or Porsche coupes, without sacrificing fuel efficiency. It offers a racing-inspired Z51 suspension, the advanced technology and safety of a feature like extended mobility tires, and throws in a little bit of practicality for good measure, with a usable cargo capacity. Finally, I want to add that the hardtop isn't a completely stripped-down model. Like the coupe and convertible, it also offers standard 4-wheel ABS, traction control, air conditioning, pass-key 2 theft deterrent, remote keyless entry, and power door locks and windows with express down. The Corvette hardtop, a dream come true for Corvette purists, with more performance and a lower MSRP. Leave it to Chevrolet.
You have basically 4 personality profiles of customers to deal with. There's the amiable, who is the rather quiet customer, the analytical, who demands facts and figures, then there's the expressive buyer, and finally the driver buyer type. Let's talk about the expressive and driver buyer types. These are probably the 2 most closely related personality profiles that match that of the vet buyer. The expressive individual wants to stand out from the crowd and is willing to do it at almost any cost. They're not logical thinkers necessarily, but rather highly charged enthusiasts. To them, the Corvette is a statement of success or achievement, or just plain telling the world, I'm moving on up. The driver personality is a kind of no-nonsense person. Their time is valuable, and time means money to them. They can't see themselves wasting time with a salesperson who can't help them to get what they want. Their buying needs are different from that of the expressive. The driver has a firm hold on life. They drive the Corvette because they can. They don't have to prove anything to anybody. They work hard and they play hard and don't mind showing it. Where the expressive individual may consider buying the Corvette to show the world. The driver personality buys the Corvette to satisfy a stronger self-need. The more you know about the Corvette buyer, the more likely you'll have made a sale and a lifelong customer. No hocus pocus is necessary to sell a Corvette buyer, just the magic of knowing who they are and what they want.
There you have it, the all-new Corvette hardtop. Based on early press reviews and dealership feedback, another winner. But just what does the hardtop bring to your showroom? And how does it fit with the other 2 models? For that answer and more, we had a discussion with Jim Campbell, Corvette brand manager.
Hi, Jim. Welcome to Inside Track.
Thanks.
The first question I want to ask you is, what's the difference between this Vette here and then the coupe and the convertible?
Well, before I tell you how they're different, let me tell you how they're alike. The Corvette, America's performance icon, competes in a segment called the high sport segment. That segment has really been growing very quickly over the past 2 years. That growth has been driven mainly by a lot of exciting product news from the Europeans, the Z3, the Boxster, the SLK, but a lot from the Chevrolet Corvette. In '97, we introduced the coupe, '98, the convertible, and now in '99, the all-new hardtop.
Right.
What differentiates the hardtop is really 3 things. One, it's lighter. We've really managed the mass to make it a lighter automobile. Secondly, we have created a stiffer body structure with the hardtop. Incidentally, this is the first hardtop since the 63 through 67 Stingray era. So the stiffer body structure and the lighter weight vehicle creates a combination that makes for a more agile Corvette hardtop.
How do you see these 3 models being positioned in the market, and who will they appeal to?
Well, Carolyn, the model behind me, the Corvette hardtop, will be targeted at the pure performance enthusiast, someone that wants a lightweight, stiff vehicle that really is agile, and the hardtop delivers on that promise to the customer. It's also our lowest price Corvette in the lineup. The coupe is our most popular, and so it's for people who may be in weather conditions that doesn't allow them for a full convertible, but they want the ability to remove the top for some open air driving. And the convertible behind me over here, that's really for the people who want the top down, rag top, open air, wind in your hair type of driving experience. And it's about 1/3 of our business, very popular in the high sports segment.
Great. The Corvette has been really well received by the media and has even won some coveted awards. Can you tell me about some of them?
Sure. In 1998, we had over 13 awards. We've had awards from Kiplinger's Personal Finance magazine. We've had the Motor Trend Car of the Year. We're also recognized by the North American Auto Show as the Car of the Year as well, so we're very pleased about that. And in 1999, we already have a couple awards under our belt. So we love those third-party endorsements. It brings people to the Corvette, and it also helps in closing as well.
So at this point, what's the future of Corvette?
Well, Corvette is America's performance icon, and so it's our job to keep the enthusiasm high in Corvette. You'll see a race program in 1999 called the C5R. You'll hear more about that later. And also, as we look down the road 2 or 3 years, we're coming up on our 50th birthday. So we'll have to do something special for that as well.
Thank you, Jim, so much for giving us your time.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Whether it's Corvette, Lumina, or Cavalier, the toughest challenge in the sales profession is the close. On the Inside Selling Wire, professional sales consultant Joe Lascota offers his insight.
The close. Those words alone start the adrenaline flowing in some salespeople and strike fear in others. The close should be something you look forward to, not dread. First, let me tell you, there are as many different thoughts on closing as there are mosquitoes in Michigan. So you need to decide what works best for you and your selling style, and more importantly, your prospect's buying style. Allow your customers to feel as though they're in control of the buying process. If you did your job of selling the value of Corvette when you were on the test drive and during your feature presentation, the close is nothing more than a confirmation of your previously spoken agreements. In other words, the close is nothing more than putting in writing what you've already agreed to during your value selling process. And here's a tip. The average closing ratio for today's automotive salesperson is still only 20%. Corvette buyers are very loyal to Corvette and to the dealership and salesperson that demonstrates they care. I'm telling you this because while today's closing percentage is only 20%, your closing percentage jumps to 63% if you're attempting to sell a repeat Corvette owner of yours. As I said, Corvette owners are very loyal. They're proud to refer their friends, co-workers, and relatives to the salesperson who takes care of them. Now, this is important because of your chances of closing a prospect that is referred to you by a Corvette owner of yours jumps to 54% from the traditional 20%. Today's successful salesperson understands the importance of repeat and referral business. That's where you make your real money.
Now it's my turn to close, and that means it's time for Revelations Per Minute. Since we're talking Corvette, there's some big news for race fans. Chevrolet has announced that it plans to field a C5R Corvette. And you can expect to see America's only true production sports car going against the best the world has to offer real soon, debuting at the Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona in January, and also scheduled to compete in 12 Hours at Sebring and Petit Le Mans endurance races. Corvette will also be the official pace car of 24 Hours at Daytona. The exposure that Chevrolet gets out of its affinity partnerships, sponsorships, and event marketing have proven very fruitful for Chevy and for our dealerships. The activities, especially at the dealership, have been proven to raise consumer awareness and generate showroom traffic. And Chevy has recently expanded its participation, announcing new initiatives with 2 new marketing partners. The first with the Professional Women's Bowling Association. Amateur bowlers around the country were able to qualify for the Chevy Malibu Challenge, which showcased 64 top amateur bowlers in a series of single elimination matches. The winner of the tournament, held in October, received the keys to a brand new Chevy Malibu LS. And get ready to skate, rattle, and roll because Chevrolet Malibu and Cavalier have teamed up with the ice skating musical extravaganza Grease on Ice, the North American Tour. The national tour, which is expected to draw almost 1 million people, kicked off in November and will travel to a minimum of 42 national cities through May of 1999. It features a renowned cast of celebrity skaters, including former Olympian Nancy Kerrigan. It's a great opportunity for Chevy dealers to tie in promotionally. For more information, look for the announcement kit mailed to dealers in participating markets or call 810-558-7036. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you next time with a look at Camaro as we put it through the paces against the reskinned Ford Mustang. Thanks for watching, and we'll leave you with a look at the spot for Grease on Ice.
The phenomenon that's rocking the nation is hitting the ice. It's Grease on Ice, the North American Tour, featuring special guest star Nancy Kerrigan as Sandy. Get ready to skate, rattle, and roll. Grease on Ice, the North American Tour, brought to you by Chevrolet. It's on ice, it's gotta be cool.